Hello, everybody. It's Stuart Alan Swordlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swordlow.
And then Ewok from the planet Ewok.
Isn't he cute?
Yes, and so is the cat. Thank you. Anyway, this is actually, I'll start from the beginning.
Okay.
This is the Expansions News Podcast for Easter and Passover week of April 2019. And so we wish everyone who celebrates those holidays a happy Passover and or Easter and whatever other holidays are going on at this time. But we don't celebrate any holidays really.
We don't.
Except my birthday, which is a major holiday throughout the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. True.
Anyway, as you know, the big news this week was the fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. But what is not generally known is that at the very same time, there was a fire in the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, and there was also a fire at a cathedral in southern Russia, which was not on any news except the local news in Russia, which of course I have access to that stuff. And so 3 fires in religious buildings.
All on the same day.
All on the same day, and apparently approximately the same time. And you may also know that I spoke, I think last week, about the possible the removal of the Al-Aqsa and Dome of the Rock, and then here we have the fire and so on. So they say Notre Dame was devastated by the inferno. Well, the main parts of the cathedral are still there. The spire, the phallic symbol, collapsed, and we also have to know that, this is on our site, but I know a lot of the viewers are not.
You're talking about
members?
for our members.
Yes. So I will just briefly say for those who are not members, who did not go and read the information on the site, that all of these locations, especially Notre Dame, are astral portals, which the new power that's eliminating the Illuminati, they wish to close and destroy these portals. Remember I talked about the 72 vortices around the world that the Illuminati want to open to let astral entities come through, hordes of entities as an army against those who believe in God. And so that's why Cathedral was tried to be destroyed. Do you remember when we were in the Cathedral? And while I was walking in the main section, something smacked me on my back.
That was me.
No, you wasn't you were in front of me. And I turned, there was nobody around, there was nobody. It was an astral entity. And then we went to the basement, and there we saw the artifacts and excavations of the Roman colonies there. And then we were taken below that to a sub-basement where they showed us Egyptian artifacts, and they said this place was called Par-Isis, which became Paris. Par-Isis.
Right.
So a very astral. Good riddance. It should have all burned down. Seriously.
Do you want me to tell my
Yes, if it's
Notre
related.
Dame news
Yes,
so that
yes.
we keep it all in a row? Because
Yes.
you might also have some comments on this as well. Anyway, first of all, I wanted to mention that interestingly enough, which I did see on Facebook, somebody pointed out that in the main tarot cards that are used, the 15th card is the Devil's card in tarot. Then also, of course, here in the U.S. on April 15th is Tax Day. April 15th was the death of Abraham Lincoln. April 15th was the day the Titanic sank. And
So we should just stay home that week in April.
April 15th was the date of the Boston Marathon bombing. So a lot of, and who knows what else happened on April.
And today is Hitler's birthday, by the way.
Yeah. And then, of course, 4 days before it burned, 16 statues were actually removed from the top because they were claiming that it was being renovated. But this hasn't happened in 100 years that these things have come down. And then also, not necessarily related, but on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, Paris's second largest church, Saint-Sulpice, burst into flames. The police said the fire was not accidental, and the pastor said it was not an anti-religious attack. So, and then interestingly enough, now just a few days after the burning, Notre Dame Repair Fund has reached €1 billion. Right?
And this is aggravated the protesters who said, why are you giving $1 billion to this cathedral that's useless when we need the money?
Right, when people around
And
the
people
world...
in France are having difficulty.
Right, and Macron vows to rebuild the cathedral in 5 years, even though it took a century to build it.
He's another one, you know.
And what was interesting to me is they made a big deal about the iconic rooster weather vane. And they said that this rooster weather vane that topped the spire that was burned contained religious relics, which I thought
Why
was
would
very
they stick
odd.
that up there?
They said it contained one of the 70 thorns of the Holy Crown of Jesus Christ.
Which is a bullshit because there is no such thing.
And then I said remnants linked to Saint Denis,
Saint Denis.
the Christian martyr and former bishop of Paris, and Saint Genevieve, the
Saint Genevieve.
the patron saint of the French capital. And then they said that the rooster acted as a spiritual lightning rod to protect the Notre Dame faithful. And then on top of that, there were beehives up there that were saved, which of course that's a Merovingian
Why
symbol.
would they have bees up there?
Yes,
Roof.
and they knew about it, so why would they leave them, right?
Yes, because a hive mind mentality for all the Catholic religious nuts.
So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. They made such a big deal about this weather vane thing.
Well, that's also the weather vane is a rooster.
Yeah.
So the reason they made a big splash on the news of saving it was because it means they were being cocky about it and they were going to rebuild it and open up the vortex again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so
But that won't happen, people. You will see.
lots of symbolism going on there. So I expect there to be more.
And I told you things were going to happen.
You did.
And they are happening.
And of course, on our website, you have more details. So
Yes, and
those of you who are not a member, missing out, less than $1 a day, expansions.com.
give up your cocaine habit and join us. He just bit me.
Well, your finger
The
was in the way.
Ewok bit me.
A little Ewok.
He's going to go to a Vietnamese restaurant this afternoon. Anyway, one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, of whom I am not a fan.
You talk about her all the time. I thought you must like her.
No, I don't. She needs to go back to her coffin. Anyway, she made a comment about my favorite person, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she...
Maybe is AOC related to AOL?
Maybe, but it's funny because, nobody knows how she got elected because she was the only one running.
Oh.
And so Nancy Pelosi said that where this AOC came from, a glass of water with the letter D next to it would have won. I love it. Nancy has a sense of humor, even though she's a bitch. Anyway, she actually picked up a glass of water when she was giving her lecture. She says, this glass of water would win with a D next to its name in those districts because there's nobody running. D, by the way, was for Democrat.
Yeah,
or maybe
I
deep state.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe a secret meeting there.
Speaking of such things, apparently Fox News has had a segment of it about an expansive network of shadowy dark money. There's D for dark.
Yeah.
Where donors have rivaled the influence of other networks, pumping millions into left-wing causes, from healthcare to climate change to abortion, while avoiding public scrutiny. And according to a report by Capital Research Center, it describes a band of nonprofits operating under the banner of Washington-based philanthropy company, remember this name, Arabella Advisors. And they have pop-up groups and 4 Arabella-controlled sister nonprofits, and these are the other names of the companies: New Venture Fund, 1630 Fund, Hopewell Fund, and Windward Fund. Remember those. These groups form an interlocking network of dark money and other fiscally sponsored projects for $500 million ocean of cash, and the real puppeteer is this Arabella Advisors, and is under a mask of philanthropy. They say the network brought in $1.6 billion between 2013 and 2017 to advance the political policies desired by wealthy left-wing interests. It goes on to say, the size and scope of the Arabella network of funds demonstrates far more dark money exists on the left side of the political spectrum than has ever been previously admitted. Arabella's website says the company was founded to provide a strategic guidance for effective philanthropy. And it's dedicated to helping clients make a difference on the issues that matter most to them, from climate to women and girls, education, good food, that goes with climate and girls, and more. And they have assets over $100 billion.
Wow, how do we get that?
That's the thing. They will not say who their donors are.
But what do they do with the money once they even get it?
Well, let me tell you, they use for political advocacy on issues such as Obamacare, gun control, abortion, and they sponsor the opposition to Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. The company was founded by, this is critical, a man named Eric. You bit me again. Definitely Vietnam special today.
You're silly.
The company was founded by Eric Kessler, and guess who he worked for?
Who?
The Clinton administration, and then the Clinton Global Initiative. Not too suspicious there.
The deep state deepens.
Yes, and he also founded the New Venture Fund and is on the board of the 1630 Fund. So, little happy family over there.
Yes, so.
They have 340 pop-up groups things that just pop up. And they said that these websites create the illusion or an appearance of grassroots campaigns when in fact
It all goes back to the one
it
that
goes
makes
to
sense.
wealthy people who are trying to destroy things. And it has such, for example, such groups as Save My Care and Protect Our Care, which is, of course, to defend Obamacare, which is in the toilet now.
Thank goodness.
And they have, but the thing is, they apparently have a paid staff, held board meetings, but they don't even own so much as a pen. There's no assets under their name. A little suspicious there, I would
I'd say so.
And it says they target the news cycles. They're the ones who paid for the glossy signs that say "Stop Kavanaugh," and they are actually paying actors to protest for fake news and sway public opinion.
At least now we know who's doing it, right?
And there's a group called Demand Justice, and guess who's the head of that?
Who?
Hillary Clinton's press secretary, Brian Fallon, and he's active on judicial issues. And it's more than just a website. They say it is a front for the 1630 Fund, and that this dark money actually is helped by liberal mega donor George Soros's Democracy Alliance, and the 1630 Fund and the New Venture Fund host projects that do not disclose their original funders. And these pop-up groups make people think they advertise like from the ordinary people, the grassroots,
right.
But it's a front for multi-million-dollar nonprofits.
That's
It's all
interesting.
fake corporations.
Yeah, what's interesting now we have, it's being traced back to the tree trunk,
And
so
to
to speak.
Hillary and the Clintons.
And George.
And George, and soon you will see Mr. Obama. Yes, that's why Q says when Obama was out of office, they said Satan has left the White House. But Satan will be enchained for many years, you will see. Speaking of Satan, the Mauna Loa volcano in Hawaii has been picking up its pace, and scientists have begun monitoring the Big Island volcano just in case it could erupt violently. And the level, that's it. You are the lunch special in the Tohaknai restaurant today. Anyway, they said that it's comparable what's going on now to the more active periods in the past. And there's a concern of increased earthquake activity on Mauna Loa. And actually, there have been 90 earthquakes weekly since August.
Wow.
That's a lot of earthquakes. And the last one was just last week at over 5 points on the Richter
So I was
scale.
wondering how big they were.
But there have been large quakes all around the Pacific Rim, and many quakes have been also noticed at the Yellowstone.
All right, so you ready? I have some really fascinating news, as always. Okay, I already told you
Look
about
at Quartet little legs.
this
Look.
one. Okay. You know how we've been talking a lot about global whatever they call it, warming, climate change, whatever. These
Global
are
crap.
This is really interesting stories because we've also been telling you a lot about how they want to do like artificial wombs and things like that. Well, they don't want to tell people not to have children, so they are sneaking around it in different ways. And remember last week I told you about birth strike. Now these women who are afraid of global climate change, whatever, so therefore they've decided not to have children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now here's another story sneaking in and changing history. They're saying that global warming will make some species sterile as rising temperatures ruin their fertility.
I hope that happens to AOC and all her cronies.
It says temperature animals become sterile at is lower than fatal temperatures. Okay, so it's not going to kill them off, but they won't be able to reproduce. Then it says cold-blooded animals and aquatic species are thought to be especially vulnerable. And therefore, these are some of the species that they think that it will affect, so to speak. The flightless cormorant in Hungary, the bees and mosquitoes, there's bees again,
I'd like to get rid of the mosquitoes, I don't care about them.
carp and other fish, and coral life, the Scottish primrose.
Aye.
But now what's interesting, first of all, they're telling you that these species are going to be sterile. Okay, just eventually they're going to throw in humans, right? Now they have a study conducted by the University of British Columbia in Canada that claims that over the last century, beetles in the region have shrunk.
Shrunken beetles?
Shrunken beetles. By looking at 8 species of beetles and measuring the animals from the past and present, they found that some beetles were adapting to a reduced body size.
Mm-hmm.
They show that the larger beetles were shrinking, smaller ones are not shrinking. And then
Because they're already shrunken.
Then they go, well, this is interesting how they're building the story. So we'll get to the story. So it says about 50 million years ago, the Earth warmed by 3 degrees, and as a result, animals shrunk by 14%. I guess this is why they're explaining how, like,
So warm weather makes you shrink?
giants and dinosaurs and smaller animals and smaller plants, right? Yes, so warm weather makes you shrink. So remember that. Then it
Then why were
says,
dinosaurs so big and it was hot then?
but this is what they're telling you. Then another warming event happened about 55 million years ago, and the animals shrunk again by a third.
Well, there should be little microscopic animals running around.
Yes, and it says that shrinking in body size is seen from several global warming events. And it says the average size of most animals will continue to decrease, and there will also be a dramatic decrease in the amount of large animals.
I'll tell you what, these Maine Coons aren't shrinking, they're getting bigger every minute.
Yeah. But what's interesting to me now is that they're setting the stage, okay? Now, followed by that is another story from the UK in London. There is a group called Extinction Rebellion, blocked roads and bridges across London last week on the first day of its international rebellion. And a spokeswoman said, "We are trying to stay as long as possible. There are people who are willing to be arrested." Apparently, they're calling upon the government to meet 3 key points to cease the chaos. So in other words, they want the government to, quote, tell the truth by declaring a climate and ecological emergency, to act now, which means to halt biodiversity loss and reduce greenhouse gas emissions to net by 2025. And listen to this one. They want to create a citizens' assembly on climate change and ecological justice, which would lead government action. Robin Ellis Cockcroft, that sounds like our rooster friend, on the top of Notre Dame.
That's where he probably belongs.
Yeah. He's a coordinator for the group's youth faction, said, "We are looking for the government to meet at us at one of these sites and to treat the crisis as a crisis. This is day 1 and we go from here." He added that big, dramatic, potentially arrestable stuff is planned. He said the action could stop once the government shows its desire to meet the requests, and a meeting would be a strong first step. However, if the group isn't pleased with what they said they would like to, they will keep going. And he said that they will hit banks, fast fashion, and fast food. This sounds like civil war to me.
Yeah, that's going to really be helpful.
And the thing is this is one group trying to control a government, right? And also, the thing is that this is like what happens like around here, and they'll say, well, there was a shooter and the person was suspect, but they didn't do anything to stop it. So these people are actually coming out and saying that they're going to cause a lot of problems, so these people should be arrested.
They should have a meeting in jail.
Right, exactly. They said that many in the group are prepared to take criminal action should it be required to cause chaos. Obstructing the highway and criminal damage are likely to be crimes committed by those involved.
That's really going to make people want to believe in what they say.
Right, and he said it's. I think at some point it's going to escalate. There's a lot of people that are prepared to be arrested. So,
And they should be.
Yes, they should be arrested now while they're talking about the things they're planning on
put
doing.
away for a long time.
Right, that's what they say about the shooters and all these people. They were under suspicion.
Because
we were
then
watching them.
then they'll say, well, now it's time for us to get violent and hurt people.
Right, and this is exactly it. So this
They need
is
to be put away.
yes. Now, speaking of extinction, remember I've been telling you about all these trans people who are making these changes. It makes the children sterile. So, of course, they're going to allow this. And so the reason I'm bringing this forward, because this is Charlize Theron, is that how you say her last name? Okay, she's raising her first child named Jackson, 7, as a girl.
But what was it before?
It was born a boy. Now, this part is interesting. 2 things. First of all, Charlize is white, and she adopted 2 black girls.
That'll help
1
them with
boy,
their
1
life.
girl, right? And when
She
one
must know Madonna.
was 3, the youngster told her, I am not a boy. So now she said she's raising 2 beautiful daughters. She said, yes, I thought she was a boy too, until she looked at me when she was 3 years old and said, I'm not a boy. So there you go. I have 2 beautiful black African American daughters. Okay?
And she needs to also be in therapy.
Yeah, so those children, are going to have a lot of problems
They
thanks to
already
her.
do.
And if they're giving the hormones and making them sterile and all this.
3-year-old really knows what it needs to be.
Exactly. So anyway,
I don't even know where I should be yet.
True. But the thing is they're imprinting people to go, oh, blah, blah. The more they show it, the more people do. Monkey see, monkey do. And that continues to go. Now, this is kind of a story based on ones that they have been putting out there in the news, but it's a news story, believe it or not. It's a new study by 2 Harvard researchers who say the cosmos may have already deposited the first visitor on our doorstep 5 years ago in 2014.
Only 5 years ago.
When a small meteor crashed into the Earth near Papua New Guinea in the Papua New Guinea in the South Pacific. According to their research, this 1.5 foot wide object most likely came from another solar system. And then they go on to say almost all of the objects that hit the Earth originate outside of the solar system.
Yeah, that's because they are flying in space.
Yeah, and they're made of the same materials that made the solar system.
Oh,
so,
brilliant.
if we can understand where they came from, we can understand more about what's out there.
Except that the chemistry may be different in other places.
And they said that they could potentially carry life from other solar systems. So it's going on. And then what's interesting is they continue to talk about, we say this, Oumuamua.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why.
It says, and they keep talking about that. It says, the article, you might remember, a much larger interstellar asteroid was spotted in 2017, bouncing menacingly through our interplanetary neighborhood.
Those were my peeps looking for me.
And how long is it? 1,300 feet. So there we have the 1,300, and that's what they called it. The
So it's 400 meters.
And it says, if a small space rock in the South Pacific can hold so many clues, imagine what one almost 100 times that size can tell us. So they keep alluding back to this thing that's out there, whatever it is.
Right, but it flew away.
Flew away. It'll come back. Now.
Why would it?
Because they're going, oh my gosh, I
If
can't
they're
believe
after
it.
So what's going on here? Like, look at that here.
Can't believe
Hang
it.
the left.
Carl's Jr. will become the first major fast food chain to debut a cannabis-infused burger.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's debuting it on April 20th, which I believe is officially, isn't that Earth Day?
That's the pot day and Hitler's birthday.
Yeah. And they're going to sell it for $4.20.
Oh, brilliant.
Because
Because
you're
it's worth $1.
They're going to have a CBD-infused Santa Fe sauce. Now, of course,
Okay, I'll take some of that.
what they're saying is the CBD is the non-psychoactive component of marijuana, meaning that eating a CBD burger will not get you high.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't work. I've tried
So
it.
what's the point of eating one then?
Because it makes people think they're doing something bad.
Maybe. But anyway, so they're just going to do this for one day, and then if all goes well, they're going to roll it out across the nation.
Right, for useless hamburgers.
Right. And it says apparently this Carl Jr.'s and Hardee's, which it says is its sister brand, they have 3,800 locations in 44 states and internationally. So
might as well say, we're getting a hamburger with air in it.
Right, but people will buy it, I guess, and it starts to put this frequency out there that people don't really need.
It does nothing. It does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So anyway, So, that's all my exciting stories.
Yeah.
We want to remember, let's see, we're almost through April really. So May is our last series of webinars until we'll break for the summer. You're also going to be heading to Istanbul soon?
First to Houston,
Yeah.
where I will have to revamp everything going on at NASA. And then I will be going to Istanbul.
Okay.
And then you will be going to...
I'll be going to Italy. Right. And then we're going to have our September class.
Maybe not. We'll see.
That's on the agenda for now. So if you're interested in true world history and intergalactic history, you want to read Blue Blood, True Blood, True World History, and of course Stuart's autobiography, which has got a lot of alien stuff in here, Montauk, the Alien Connection. And what else have we got going on? We have Decoding Your Life, which is universal law. This is like a must-have for every library. This is the series, of course, we're doing our webinars on called Affirming You. It's an incredible book that you need to have by your bedside every night and pick up if you have issues. White Owl Legends, an archetypal story of creation, which is a fascinating read if you like Native American work. And, of course, that's all connected to Atlantis. Our Healing Archetypes and Symbols, which has got a lot of color things, which is why Stuart likes this book so much, right? He likes the pictures.
Yeah.
Right? And then we have...
My naked body is hidden in some of the archetypes, and you have to find it.
Yeah. And Hyperspace Plus, and of course, Hyperspace Helper. So all of these are really great basic books that will help you make sense of your life. 13 Cubed, this is case studies in mind control. You want to take control of your own mind before somebody else takes control of it for you. And of course, I have our wonderful little children's series here. These also are in lots of color. Really nice books. And
I love the color.
Yes, you do. And adults have actually liked them too. And I will tell you, if English is not your first language, this is really great.
That's why I like it so much.
Yeah. So we have lots of good books out there. Get a membership on our site. Read what we have to say. We have lots more information than what we have time to tell you in a podcast. We have a great Q&A blog. We don't do Q&A on YouTube or on Facebook. Less than $1 a day. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Anything else going on?
Well, we do have we have 3 new books coming out they're being edited, final stages. Another 4th book, which hopefully,
it depends on
how
how
my birthday maybe my birthday present.
We're working as hard as fast as we can.
It's a huge alternative medical book.
We're working as fast as we can.
Yes,
so.
And well, have a happy holiday week, whatever you do. And,
I should tell them only one space left yet for my Italian trip.
One.
April 30th is a deadline. We might be able to get an extra one in because we have a private car.
If you're really thin.
If you have a companion, we'll see if we can. If there's like 2, but then that's totally it. So
I think in Italy you can squeeze them without seatbelts.
Well, we just put them in on the top of the car, or they can run along behind, get some exercise up there in the Alps.
Listen, I would rather run behind and drive on those roads. So yes, I would do that.
I believe you.
So anyway, we will see you next week, as long as the Umo doesn't crash into the earth.
Bye.
Bye.